Hello. I am here today for some new moon in Scorpio musings and insights, things that I've been thinking about this morning, a little bit earlier this week, regarding, this upcoming new moon that I knew was going to be super powerful in the sign of Scorpio. And that just happened maybe 20 or so minutes ago at 5:15 p.m. here on the Eastern time zone in the U.S. East Coast today, November 4th, 2021. What's amazing about this new moon in Scorpio is that it is conjunct to the moon. They were both at 12 degrees Scorpio, the moon and the sun. I'm sorry, conjunct the sun. Yeah, the sun and the moon. And the moon is squaring also Saturn. And we know Saturn. Saturn is the Lord of Death. So you have the sun and spirit conjunct the moon and matter. So you have these two opposites coming together in wholeness in the sky right now, with the moon squaring Saturn, the Lord of Death, Lord of Time, Lord of this Greek term called agnoia, which is like this feeling of shame and guilt and pain of not knowing where you're going and not being able to see clearly, kind of trapped in this like darkness mode. So kind of what I wanted to get into with the new moon is just to share even what I experienced this morning. I woke up feeling very down, very depressed, very angry for no reason. And, then I remembered that the new moon was going to be this afternoon or this evening, and it made sense, but I was still stuck in it. And there's a sense of that having to stay in it and not being able to escape, because Scorpio is ruled by the ancient rulers Mars. The nowadays ruler, Pluto has been assigned to Scorpio, but Mars was the ancient ruler of Scorpio, and Mars, the planet of Mars, has everything to do with what we don't like, has everything to do with strife and illness and injury and everything we dislike and hate and aggression and force and things like that. But Scorpio is actually the yin sign of the yin aspect of Mars, as the masculine and yang aspect of Mars is Aries, and that's that like outward force, where Scorpio, yeah, there's force, but it's more of an internal force. And that's painful, that looking inward, that having to uncover things in the darkness that you wanted to turn a blind eye to or you've been trying to avoid. Yeah, those are things that we don't like this morning I was stuck in that stage of being angry with life and tears and you know what is life, what is my life type feels, where I'm not even sure I could even pinpoint why I was so sad and why I was crying, but the tears came nonetheless. And I found myself listening to some Hans Zimmer. He creates songs, I noticed, for like soundtracks of like epic movies, I'm gonna call it, because he creates like these epic soundtracks that I absolutely love. Um, and it's all about like in your feels type of music. It's like just not even voices, it's just sounds and instruments and things like that, instrumentals. And it's like hauntingly beautiful music. One of the songs was in Inception, another song was in The Last Samurai. So that speaks to kind of that force, but that internal force, where it's like The Last Samurai. Yeah, it was like warlike and outward war, but it was also internal um, strife and madness and things that needs to be overcome internally. So just wanting to point out some symbolism in the tarot that I found. I have a couple different cards pulled out here, but in the Thoth tarot deck that I've been working with for the past like year and a half, maybe a little longer than that, the card that represents Mars is the Tower. And like if you look at this card, it is like I was saying about Mars, fiery, pervasive, in your face, inevitable. You know, the Tower is definitely about like destruction and things falling away, things crumbling. It's like a force that is just there. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. And what's amazing about this card is that among that force, there's still the chance here for this illumination with this eye at the top, you know? So, force, but there's a silver lining, right? And then the card for Scorpio is the death card. And, you know, people have their hang-ups about death and things like that, but if you think about it, we die on a daily basis. Our hair falls out, our nails get long and we clip them. Men shave their faces and whatever else. Women shave their whatever else. And those things die. Even our cells die. Our thoughts die. Our ideas die. Our passions die. There's so many things in our lives that have their death that we kind of just don't even think about sometimes. But what I love about this death card is it's the skeleton at the bottom of the ocean, right? The bottom of the ocean creating these like waves, and he's picking up the silt, right? At the bottom of the ocean. So he is creating this obscurity. He's creating this I can't see, right? Like I was saying, the moon right now being square to Saturn, it's that pain of not knowing where you're going or feeling like you don't have a light in, you know, where you're at. And it's a scary thing. But what's great about this death card is that there's movement. So he's picking up the silt, and once that silt settles, there's new life to be had after that death or that period of just having to be within, like just having to stay with that darkness until it clears. And that's what Scorpio is perfect with and what they do, and that Scorpio energy. So it's that Mars energy, but it's brought inward. It's now the high beams are on you on the inside, and you're transforming and looking at things on the inside that maybe you didn't want to look at before, or you know, were difficult to see, things that you've been ignoring, avoiding within the self that you know need to be transformed, changed somehow, you know, maybe even laid to rest, cut off, given a burial to. Yeah, so I just have some notes here. Just want to make sure that I'm saying what I want to say. Oh, okay, yeah. So one of the things that had come up for me when I was thinking about the new moon coming up, I started singing just a lyric in my mind, and it goes, let me see if I remember. Let me see. Okay. Okay, yeah, right. So we're going down, down in an earlier round, and sugar, we're going down swinging, right? So it's like with this Scorpio new moon, you can't help but go down, down. Like Scorpio goes deep. They go deep within, right? They are like psychological chess masters who won't give up until they've won the game, no matter how difficult it is or no matter how long it's been going on, you know? And when I heard that song, I'm like, we're going down, down in an earlier round. It's like almost, you know, you're being forced to dive in even if you don't feel like it. You know what I mean? Even if you don't want to feel the feels, even if you don't want to see the things, even if you've been just hanging out on the surface and you're not ready to dive under in the water, like it's inevitable. You can't stop the flow of water. Scorpio is a water sign. Water will find its way into whatever crevice, even if you are resistant to it. But there's that chance, right? You're going down. You're going down. You're going down in the earlier round, meaning you're going in no matter what, right from the beginning. But you have a chance to go down swinging. So that means you have a chance to actually take a look at the things that are painful to you, things that have been weighing on your mind, or on your body, on your soul, on your senses. It's a chance to really take a good hard microscopic look at your insides and let whatever needs to be gone so it could leave room for something new, for something to be had of the phase, so it's like this transformation. And it's funny because I couldn't think of who sang the song, Sugar We're Going Down. I mean, I know the band, but I just couldn't think of it in the moment. So I'm like, all right, let me look it up. And it's called Fall Out Boy. That's the band. All right. So Fall Out Boy, right? Embracing the yin, embracing the feminine, embracing the girl, the moon, embracing the qualities of this watery, like intuitive, in your face, diving deep moon. The time for Mars's yang type force, the boy force, it's not to be had. It's not an outward force where you're forcing yourself into the world or you're making your stand in the world. It's directed inward, right? It's the girl. The fallout is that tower, is that I'm sorry, it's gonna happen type crumbles and stumbles situation. It's just gonna happen, you know? And I like that. I like how it was like Fallout Boy. So it's like you're in it. You're flowing in the depths of the water, and that's kind of scary, I guess, you know? There's a scary sense of facing what you've been avoiding or facing what you fear, you know? But this new moon, and the new moon is about beginnings and a chance for, like, you know, setting an intention now that comes into fruition when the moon is full in the next two weeks. Okay? So it is a chance for you to set the intention to, listen, I'm going to do this for myself so that when the full moon comes, I will feel lighter. I will, you know, the new moon is dark and the full moon is lit. So it's like you set the intention now in the darkness, right, to deal with your darkness or to deal with whatever you see fit during this new moon. But it has to be something that you value emotionally. Like, Scorpio is not a bullshitter. It's going to take you, the currents will take you. Like, that's just, it's not going to be something like a facade, like, yeah, I'm going to intend this and it will come true in the full moon. You know, it's got to hurt. It does. It has to hurt. I mean, that's what it has to be hauntingly beautiful. Like I was saying with the songs I was listening to earlier, it has to elicit a transformation, and that means that it has to elicit an actual energy of force that flows through you. So, whatever you're setting and intending to come into the light when the full moon is bright and things like that, do it. Another thing is that I wanted to share was this funny video. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I want to make sure. So this funny video that also reminded me of this new moon in Scorpio where it's a little kid, right, with his who knows, parents, grandparents, like there's people around, somebody's with him in a pool, and someone's recording, and they're like in the shallow end of the pool, and there's a, you know, the little long buoys thing that float atop the water that, like, you know, separate the deep end and the regular pool side. And this little kid has, you know, his floaties on, and he's, you know, they must have put him in the water, and it starts recording when he's already in the water. So it starts recording where he's already crying. He's holding on to dear life to the floaty, you know, that long string or whatever. He's holding on to dear life, and they're laughing because they know he's only like, you know, this much deep in the water or whatever. Like if he just stood up, he would be fine. But he has such a fear of seeing what's underneath the surface. Like, he will not give up. He will not give in. It hurts. It hurts him to, you know, he's crying. He's fucking terrified to let go of this safety string, this safety floating. So when they finally, you know, after a little bit, they finally grab his, you know, little legs, and he's like floating like this. So he's not letting his feet touch the ground. He's like holding on dear life. They finally let his body come like this from horizontal to vertical. And now he's standing in the water. And then he's like, oh, like, like he stops crying. He's like, oh, right, you know? So I think that's the blessing of this new moon. Like, as difficult as it may be, like I said, Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. It's not going to be flowers and gumdrops, you know what I mean? This journey that you're taking inward, and this reflection that you're you know, your reflections of your emotional state is. It's not going to be easy. You know, you're going to have to basically work with your shadows, because Scorpio doesn't have room for anything less than that, you know. And even if we're going by the ancient ruler, the modern ruler of Scorpio, which is Pluto, and Pluto we know rules death and you know, reincarnation, and so that cycle of death and life, death and life, death and life. So it's difficult, it's painful, but if you never give it a chance to see what's underneath, right? Like that kid could have just been stuck in that painful loop for much longer, and been, you know, frozen and unable to touch the surface or touch the floor of you know, of the water. And it's like in not doing so and not allowing yourself to see what's under the surface, you're gonna rob yourself of a chance to, like, shake off things that just don't serve you any longer. Like, you know, transformation. It reminds me of the Phoenix. I pulled the Phoenix from two of my different decks here. And the Phoenix here, it says resurrection, surrender to change. And this Phoenix says a transformation, and it says a fresh new way of living emerges. So think about the medicine of the Phoenix. The Phoenix is like, it implodes. It like fires itself up so much until it like literally implodes, dies off, turns to ash, but then is reborn from that ash. So that means that you literally become, like, imagine your body, like, all right, yeah, imagine your body becoming complete, like from the inside out, like being inflamed, so that it's almost like when you're burning, yeah, a cigarette. Like a cigarette, when you burn it, it turns to ash as you're burning it. Think about the inside of you, like your body turning into ash, like black ash, and then just being like falling away. But then underneath is like that pink, raw skin, that new freshness, right? That's what that Scorpio new moon is offering. If you could dive deep with that medicine, it's all about diving deep. And yes, diving deep is uncomfortable, but do it for yourself. Do it for yourself because I don't know. I feel like there could be a definite chance for a feeling of weightlessness, right? Where it's like you've had the chance to go deep and then now you can float on the surface instead of holding to the surface. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between holding to the surface, holding onto safety nets, to then diving deep and then now floating on the surface, right? Because you've done the toughness on the inside and now you've emerged feeling a little more buoyant, a little less filled with everything else that was taking up way too much room. Now, I will say with the square to Saturn, this is not going to go as you think it's going to go. That's right. We like to think like, all right, I'm going to heal by this time, or all right, I'm setting the attention. It's going to happen by this time. Sometimes, yeah. But when Saturn here is playing around, Saturn rules time. Saturn rules time. This I'm talking about in ancient times. Saturn rules rewards over time, maturity over time. Think about like wine, better over time. I don't know, cognacs or whatever, better over time. It's like you can't force time sometimes. And so it's not about forcing energy here because there's still the Scorpio flowingness, the yin energy, right? Scorpio is the yin sign ruled by Mars, right? It's not the masculine. It's that passiveness. It's still aggressive, but it's aggressively addressing what's on the inside. And there's still that sense of flow. So don't feel like, oh, you're running out of time. No, this is you starting a conversation with yourself. And this can be a transformation that takes whatever amount of time. You know what I mean? And that there's nothing wrong with that. One other thing that I definitely wanted to say was, and I love how I brought up the Phoenix because it reminded me of Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. But anyway, so in one of the last battle scenes, basically the last battle between Harry Potter and Voldemort, the bad guy in the Harry Potter movies, the scene that I'm thinking about is when Harry's like at the top of a building or whatever, the castle, whatever, inside with Voldemort. He's in his like last showdown. And okay, so I will say, so throughout the whole movie, it's been a kind of a secret that they start discovering, spoiler alert, that they start discovering that there is a piece of Voldemort that lives inside of Harry. Now, Voldemort is evil, right? Harry's like the hero, the good guy, the good. And Voldemort's the evil. And there's a piece of Voldemort that lives inside of Harry because Voldemort tried to kill Harry when he was a child, but Harry's mom stepped in the way and her love created like this buffer against the curse, but still like a little piece of Voldemort attached to Harry. In his death, he attached himself to something that was living. All right, that's another key, little death here. But anyway, so in that scene, the showdown between Voldemort and Harry, Harry's like telling Voldemort, yeah, like, that wand, it never worked. That it never worked for you. Do you want to know why? And Voldemort just can't beat Harry with this wand because it's just like there's a reason why it's not his. It should be his, but it isn't. So Harry's like, let's finish this together, right? And he grabs Voldemort like this, and now they like start floating outside, and Voldemort's power is like floating them all over the air, and they're hitting like the concrete walls and things like that, and they're battling each other, like it's like all aggressive, and they're like grabbing each other's head and pulling each other's heads, whatever, while they're floating in this black cloud through the air, until one point they're going like this, and their heads literally come together, where Harry and Voldemort become one united being. And then boom, they tumble out. And Harry, with the friends of his allies who killed the last Horcrux spell, which is this snake called Nagini, with the aid of his friends, he then has now the power to beat Voldemort, because that was like the last of it. So what I'm getting at there is that with the deaths that Scorpio season and the Scorpio new moon is asking you to allow in your life, you have to understand that the deaths still are a part of you. They just because you cut something off doesn't mean it never existed, right? So you have to realize, like, you can move forward, right? If you just integrate these deaths. Don't just, if you treat the deaths that you're going through, or if you treat the inner transformation that you're going through, all this like shadow work, all this heaviness and things being like I said, shifted and lifted from the bottom of the ocean, like the death card, all that stuff being silt, kicked up, that sand, leaving like sand in your eyes. If you treat that like it's an entity outside of yourself, right? That once you transform it, you've transformed it and exist outside of yourself, you're still doing a disservice to yourself, because you need to remember that those deaths exist inside of you, right? Because those evil things are still a part of you. Just like Voldemort and Harry, like Harry's this good hero, but he still had a piece of evil inside of him in the form of Voldemort. That is true for us in this lifetime. You know what I mean? We can't escape the duality of this earth plane, where this and that exists, right? So spirit and matter exists. Life and death exists. They exist together. There's no separating them. So I definitely wanted just to say that, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to say that. But let me see if there's anything else that I had written in my thing that I wanted to say. I think I've made sense so far, and if I haven't, oh well. So one thing, no, I think I did. One thing that I love, and again, I thought about it, and I really wanted to do this reading and incorporate all these little stories and aspects of the things that I've been using. But another one was the Swan Spirit, because I actually pulled the Swan Spirit for myself, I think in my readings for November, I believe, my monthly reading for November for myself, or I might have pulled it for, I don't know, October. But either way, the Swan Spirit, it says, time to take a deep dive. So I love that this beautiful, like this, when you think about the swan, like this beautiful image of a swan, you think about this graceful, beautiful, elegant creature being able to dive deep, right? Being able to crane her lovely neck and constantly look under the water to feed herself, right? To nourish herself. And so that's what I kind of want to leave this video with. Like, there is a beauty in going inward and shining light, or maybe not even shining light, just sitting with the darkness of what exists within, meaning the things that we don't like, the things that hurt us, right? The things that don't feel good or feel restrictive, or whatever it is that you feel that might be weighing you down, holding you down, has expired but still exists within you. It's like there's such a beauty about being able to look underneath the surface and seeing what is and transforming that into like a more like integrated aspects of yourself and of your being. So never feel like there isn't a reason for, going through the muck. Like there isn't a reason for being kicked up in the silt, or having to sit in the darkness sometimes and having to deal with what comes out in the darkness, because it's all hauntingly beautiful, right? Like the music I was listening to before, all hauntingly beautiful. And I think just because I said that, I am going to play a little bit of it because I have access to it right now. Oh my god. And it's called Time. Okay? It's freaking called, by Hans Zimmer. It's called Time, right? I was saying that the new moon is square to Saturn, and Saturn lets things happen in due time, right? So it's not about rushing the transformation, but start thinking about what you want to shake up for this new moon in Scorpio season. For the next 2 weeks, think about what you're intending to have come to light in your life, or you want to shake up, or you want to let go. Oh, damn it, my freaking volume is on low. All right. Well, you can't hear the song. I think I just wanted to pull like a card to see what what the new moon wants to bring to light for this season. What does the new moon in Scorpio want to bring to light for the collective of my audience viewing this? I hope you can hear this song. Bringing to light the Two of Swords. Okay, this is the Two of Swords. There is a dueling aspect here, and there is a heart on this person's chest, and they're above the water here. So bringing to light, what are you fighting? It's almost like saying, what are you fighting on the surface that isn't allowing you to dive deep with this new moon? That's dope. This is a conflict, So what is keeping you from going further inside yourself so that you can unlock more and more pieces of your puzzle? Because the more you shed light on the darkness, the more you clear out those corners and those musty, dusty, dark rivers and places in your soul, in your spirit, in your energy field, in your mind, in your emotions. You know what I mean? What are you fighting? I feel like your mind is fighting against. Yeah, it's a reminder not to let your mind fight against what you can discover in your heart by being able to get in there, let Mars beat the pulp out of your inside, right? Let you get bruised up and bloody, because you're gonna heal from that bruising and heal from that bleeding and be able to fucking rise up, and a fresh new life emerges. All right? Until next time, see ya.